Ötzi the Iceman was discovered in 1991 in the Ötztal Alps, right on the border of Austria and Italy, by a pair of German hikers. Since then, he's become one of the most studied human remains in history. Research on him has painted an extraordinary picture of life over 5,000 years ago during the Copper Age. His body carried 61 tattoos arranged in lines and crosses along his lower back, legs, and wrists. Many experts believe these weren't just decoration, but an early form of acupuncture, possibly used to ease joint pain or arthritis. His clothing was equally impressive, showcasing advanced craftsmanship for the time. Leather leggings, a loincloth, a coat stitched from goat and sheep hides, a bearskin cap, and shoes lined with grass for insulation, all carefully designed to survive the freezing alpine environment. Even his last meal told a story. Analysis of his stomach revealed ibex, red deer, and einkorn wheat, an early domesticated grain, showing a diet that blended the old hunter-gatherer traditions with the rise of early farming. His DNA added more detail. He was lactose intolerant, carried a genetic risk for heart disease, and shared ancestry with Anatolian farmers who migrated into Europe around 7000 BC. Finally, his tools and weapons proved he was no amateur in the outdoors. He carried a copper axe, rare for the time, and a quiver with 14 arrows, though only 2 were completed and ready for use. He also carried a flint-bladed knife with an ashwood handle, an unfinished longbow, and 2 birch bark containers. But perhaps the most chilling detail, Otzi's death was no accident. An arrowhead lodged in his left shoulder revealed he had met a violent end. Just when it seemed the Iceman had given up all his secrets, new discoveries challenged our very understanding of human evolution. For decades, scientists believed the slim, lightweight ribcage of modern humans was a unique trait, something that separated us from our sturdier ancestors like the stocky Neanderthals or the ancient Homo erectus. The ribcage, or thorax, is the bony framework of ribs, sternum, and spine that protects the heart and lungs, supports the upper body, and allows us to breathe. Early fossil reconstructions, such as the famous Nariokotomo boy, a 1.5-million-year-old Homo erectus skeleton from Kenya, suggested that Homo sapiens evolved a more gracile body plan. The idea was that a slender rib cage may have been an adaptation for long-distance travel or upright posture. But in 2025, a groundbreaking study published in Communications Biology turned this idea upside down, with Ötzi's rib cage at the center of a paradigm-shifting discovery. Using advanced 3D digital modeling and a technique called geometric morphometrics, researchers were able to reconstruct his thorax with remarkable precision. By placing detailed landmarks on digital scans and analyzing their spatial relationships, they gained new insights that challenged long-held assumptions about how the human body evolved. Reconstructing Ötzi's ribcage was no simple task. The same ice that kept his body intact for over 5,000 years also warped his ribs, pressing them toward his back and stomach as he lay face down in the glacier. Using scans, researchers built a digital model of his chest. The result was surprising. Ötzi's ribcage was broader and more barrel-shaped than that of most modern humans. His lower chest flared wider, while his upper chest tapered more narrowly. Yet it still kept the rounded, globe-like shape typical of Homo sapiens. Scientists called this an ambiguous thorax because it wasn't especially slim, nor was it as bulky as Neanderthals. Instead, it reflected a unique adaptation to his harsh alpine lifestyle. Ötzi lived around 3,300 BC during the Copper Age, a turning point in European history when stone tools were still common, but metal was beginning to change the way people lived. His daily life followed a seasonal rhythm of alpine migration, moving up into the mountains during warmer months to hunt or herd animals, then retreating into valleys during the freezing winters. That way of life was demanding. The Alps forced him to survive at altitudes above 10,000 feet, where oxygen is thin. Temperatures could plunge below 14 degrees Fahrenheit, and travel often meant long climbs carrying heavy gear. Among his belongings were a copper axe, a flint knife, a quiver with 14 arrows, and birch bark containers for carrying food and supplies. His ribcage, shaped like a barrel, gave him an edge in this environment, boosting lung capacity, allowing him to breathe deeper and helping his body endure the oxygen-scarce air of the high Alps. It also helped him hold onto body heat during freezing alpine nights, fitting with Bergman's rule, an ecological principle that says animals in colder climates often grow larger to reduce heat loss by lowering surface area compared to volume. But its rounded shape, broader at the bottom and slimmer at the top, unlike the flatter, wider rib cages of Neanderthals, kept his body efficient in warmer regions where too much bulk could cause overheating. This made Ötzi's rib cage a practical balance for a man living between two extremes. Still, while his unique chest structure helped him endure the harsh alpine world, it couldn't protect him from his violent death. Forensic clues tell a dark story. An arrow pierced his left shoulder, slicing the subclavian artery and causing bleeding. Yet newer research suggests the bleeding was limited and not instantly fatal. Instead, he collapsed, grew weak, and froze to death. Ironically, this brutal end preserved his body so well that thousands of years later it allowed scientists to uncover groundbreaking insights into human evolution, challenging the old belief in one standard human body type and showing instead how our species has always adapted physically to different climates and ways of life. To back up this theory, researchers compared Ötzi's rib cage with those of other ancient humans, revealing a wide spectrum of adaptations. Nazlet Kader, a 38,000-year-old skeleton from Egypt, had a narrow cylindrical chest built to release heat in a scorching desert climate, reflecting a life of heavy labor, possibly even mining flint. Ohallo II, a 23,000-year-old find from Israel, showed a similar slender rib cage suited for foraging in the temperate Levant. Meanwhile, Dolny Viestonec, a 30,000-year-old individual from the Czech Republic, had a massive chest, nearly as large as the Neanderthals but even wider, built to trap heat during the peak of the Ice Age. Neanderthals themselves, like Kabara II, 60,000 years old, and Shanidar III, 50,000 years old, had squat, wide rib cages adapted to frigid climates. And even earlier, the famous Nariokotome boy, a 1.5-million-year-old Homo erectus from Kenya, carried a robust, barrel-like rib cage even as a youth. These comparisons reveal something groundbreaking. The rib cages of Homo sapiens weren't uniform and slender as once believed. Instead, their shapes varied with climate and lifestyle. Ötzi's intermediate thorax, falling between slender and robust, reflects his unique adaptation to life in the Alps. For decades, scientists thought all humans evolved a lightweight, slim blueprint for the body. But Ötzi proves otherwise. His rib cage, alongside other fossils, shows that our ancestors came in many shapes and sizes, shaped by climate, daily labor, diet, and even random genetic twists. This raises new questions about how environment, biology, and culture work together to sculpt the human body. The story of Ötzi, once just a frozen mummy, is now a powerful lesson in human evolution. He proves there's no single blueprint for Homo sapiens. Our bodies have always adapted to climate and lifestyle. Preserved for 5,300 years, he remains one of history's greatest time capsules, still revealing secrets of our past.